Hey, welcome back to another episode of these guys who just always eat meat and can't stop talking about it ever. Today, we're going to discuss where some of our old eating habits might have originated. So, what's today's topic today, Jester, for this video, Justin?
How did we eat when we were itty bitty kids? For those that believe, or for those that can't believe it, Tom was once a child
Mm.
and was probably smaller than me at one time. I would imagine. I mean, just a guess. I don't
Yeah, I don't
know.
remember, but it's probably true.
Whereas I've stayed the size of a child my entire life. Uh, um, so yeah, I mean, man, where to start? So I mean, my some of my favorites
Start with
were
breakfast.
breakfast. Oh, cereal all the way. And I specifically remember this one time getting in trouble by my grandmother because I made her buy me um, chocolate frosted flakes. Uh, hey, it was fortified with vitamins, so it was part of a complete breakfast. Um, and it was like $4 for the box of cereal. I know that's normal now for most boxes of cereal, but I think I ate like two bowls a day for like 2 days and finished the box. And then my grandmother told me that she would never buy me that cereal again because I ate it too fast because it was too expensive.
And you had a chocolate
So
mustache.
I think I just made a chocolate at that point. Chocolate milk. Oh, I love chocolate milk. And I would put as much chocolate powder or chocolate syrup in it as like until like it just no longer absorbs, where you have powder just floating at the bottom or that the Hershey syrup at the bottom. Like, yeah, that was amazing. Oreos, loved Oreos. I'd come home from school. I limit myself to 5 Oreos though, and a glass of milk. I'm
Mm.
sure it was low fat milk too. Um, and
Sounds
Oreos,
healthy.
and Oreos cookies and cream. That was that was my favorite ice cream. It was a McFlurry or whatever shake anywhere. Um, yeah, cookies and cream. Besides that, I mean, I wasn't a big candy person. I mean, I had a Snickers phase and like a Babe Ruth phase, which is kind of weird. But I liked Jolly Ranchers. Crunch bars were good. Kit Kats were okay. Crackle, which is pretty much the same as a Crunch bar. Hershey's chocolate bars were all right. Um, but like the big thing I remember is Halloween. Like I'd get all that candy, and then it would just like rot in a corner of my room, like for the rest of the year. Um, my bigger thing was cheeseburgers. I was a huge cheeseburger. I mean, the Big
So,
Mac.
you did get some protein.
I did get. Oh yeah, absolutely got protein. Yeah. My family wasn't anti meat. My mom was a huge salad person. Chicken salads, all that. Big dieter, all about salads. But um, I remember cheeseburgers being always the cornerstone of my diet. Ask
Mm.
anyone, and cheeseburgers and ketchup. If they were to say my number one and number two, would have been cheeseburgers and
Oh,
ketchup.
that's right. I remember you saying you had a ketchup fetish,
Absolutely. I wouldn't just, how at fast food restaurants they have that little cup that you put
right?
the ketchup in.
Yeah,
So that would never be enough for me. I'd end up needing like 5 of those little cups, right?
right.
So what I started to do is I started taking the lids to like the large soda and filling that up with ketchup and dipping my fries and my burgers in it. Yeah.
So you were
And
that guy.
I was that guy. And one time, me and my sister had a ketchup off to see who could use more ketchup in a burger meal. Fries, Coke, and I think like I think she beat me. I think I got up to like 52 packets, and she got up to like 57 or 55 packets of ketchup.
Wow. So, I mean, I was thinking when I was thinking of this video, I was thinking about how, what we ate as kids, kind of programmed us and kind of set us on a path for poor health, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, I'm thinking, when I was a kid, like breakfast was like, it commonly was like toast, right? Some toast and some cereal, maybe some fruit, and the milk on the cereal was, skim milk or 2% or something like that. And my mom wasn't a big fan of sugary cereals. There was already that sort of stigma. You shouldn't have that much sugar. And at the very least, I remember them saying, "Oh, it's bad for your teeth." And that toast might come with some jam or peanut butter or both or something like that. So, I mean, if you think about it, that's just sugar on top of sugar. And cereal is all sugar, whether it's real sugary or not, it's still a bunch of carbs.
Well, I
And
mean, even in the commercial, right, of the cereal, it would be like, oh, part of a complete breakfast, and what was on like that was supposed to show you the ideal breakfast, right? It's pretty much what you're describing now. I don't remember there being much meat on the plate.
right. Yeah. No, they discourage you from eating things like bacon, eggs, sausage, the kind of stuff that might have been all right, or steak and eggs might have been optimal.
Well, I mean,
But
I grew up in the middle of the egg controversy. I mean, I remember, I think when I was little, eggs are bad for you, too much cholesterol. And then I think when I became a teenager or a late teen, then it completely flipped to like, oh no, like it's not enough and eggs are good for you because of the vitamins and minerals or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
well, if you think about it, like you said, those foods are fortified with vitamins. Why? Because they're vitamin deficient. I mean, if you know all these foods are vitamin deficient and then you try and put in artificial substitutes to help the vitamin content, that should have been a big warning sign right there. I mean, they fortify milk, they fortify bread, they fortify cereal. Almost every packaged food has some sort of vitamins added to it or some ingredient that's vitamin rich added to it because it's inadequate. Whereas if you just eat meat, if you just had steak and eggs, there's no deficiency of any vitamins in there. Some people might argue vitamin C, but as we know, when you live on just meat, you don't need any additional vitamin C because that very small amount that's in there is adequate. It's more than adequate. So, and if you look it up, a lot of times it will list no vitamin C content for meat, and that's because when the FDA established these numbers, they didn't even test it because they assumed it wasn't in there, right? And now we know that when you test it, there actually is some vitamin C in steak. So just to clear that up, but yeah, you might add to that breakfast a glass of orange juice or something, right? So your low fat milk, which has a relatively high sugar content, the cereal has a high sugar content, the bread has a high sugar content, the toppings on the toast might have a high sugar content. And that's how you start your day, with a big sugar rush. Then you go off to school, and then pretty soon you're lethargic because your insulin level's spiked and your blood sugar is getting low.
But then you need a
And
bag of Doritos and a Sprite or a Dr. Pepper.
there you go. Then you can get that blood sugar back up. So you can get another insulin spike and then crash again. All the
Then
while,
you get a Yoo-hoo on the way home
they're all fortified with vitamins and they're still inadequate and they're rotting your teeth out of your head. So,
and a Gatorade.
and a Gatorade. So, and then lunch for you is just Doritos and Sprite, right?
Right, Doritos and Dr. Pepper. Yeah. Or I mean, the cafeteria food. I mean, at least there was meat. I remember they had these funky hamburgers that were gray and yeah, anyway.
Yeah,
But
that
I
was
think
a
of one of
weird
the
sort of hamburger they don't serve anywhere else except in school cafeterias. I've never seen a meat patty that had the same texture, color, or flavor, or odor, or aroma, whatever you want to call it. Even the buns were different there. That was a bun way different than any other restaurant I ever had or that you could buy at the supermarket.
I think I had that same chemical that Subway got in trouble for, that astrazine or whatever that's in like yoga mats or whatever the heck. I'm pretty sure that was part of the school bun and the hamburgers.
Yeah, so and lunch for me, a lot of times I brought lunch from home, so it was a sandwich, more bread. You probably had, it could be peanut butter and jelly, which is sugar, and
And the dessert with lunch, I remember now. I'm getting memories now as you're talking,
oh,
um,
glad they're coming back.
of a sandwich with and having a Jello pudding, the Jello chocolate pudding. as a
Uh,
dessert with my lunch because I don't know why, but that was in my lunch, a part of it. I think I had a bag of chips, a sandwich. Yeah, because I would take the chips and I would mush them in my sandwich,
mm,
you
sure.
know, and so it'd be a crunchy Dorito turkey cheese mustard sandwich or
Sounds
whatever,
fantastic.
or Cheetos. I remember too, and a Jello, and probably some kind of fruit juice or a Gatorade. So yeah, real healthy. There you go.
Yeah. So a lot of sandwiches, we ate a lot of sliced turkey, which of course is, it's got very little fat in it and, arguably a bunch of preservatives. That goes in a sandwich. You might have mayo or something on it, and mayo is always made out of a bunch of vegetable oil or what we call seed oils. Could quite possibly be partially hydrogenated, which is all not good for you. Don't eat vegetable oil, people. It's just not good for you. And then, drinks would be things like Capri Suns. I remember those came out
Oh
when I was a
yeah.
little kid.
High C.
The only thing that saved me from drinking those for very long was they gave me a rash.
Oh damn.
So, and that's basically a bag of processed fruit juice with sugar and probably,
Well, I remember looking at the box of a high C, and I think it said like 1% juice.
there you go. It's twice as much as in Tang.
Oh, and Sunny D. Remember that?
Sunny
Sunny
D.
D being huge as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a load of fructose in that Sunny
How did
D.
we not die by dinner? Like
I
now
don't know.
thinking about it, how did we live at all?
I don't know. How did we keep going? So yeah, so those eating patterns are bad. And then, dinner might be better because there's probably going to be some kind of meat, I don't know, hamburger helper or meatloaf or
Well, I remember growing up actually hating steak because the steak that my grandmother would buy was either like flank steak, or I remember never seeing any fat on steak. I remember it being
uh,
very, very flat, about like that thick. And I don't know, my family also had this because growing up too was in the middle of that the what was it? The epidemic of the mad cow disease.
cat disease.
Yeah, and so everything, all the meat had to be, or all the burger meat and cow meat, the steak, everything had to be well done because my grandmother and my father were absolutely ape junk about the mad cow disease when I was growing up. So all the meat I ate was well done as a kid, which makes you really not like steak and stuff.
Yeah.
And my dad even was obsessed with well done meat. And we'd go to In and Out, and my dad would be like, "Oh, no pink in the middle." And like, if there was pink in the middle when he took it home, like he'd throw a fit and stuff like that. And so I wasn't allowed to have meat that wasn't well done, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose that most of the meat I got might have come from In and Out as well, because there was one not too far from where I lived back in the day. So I mean, if we went out for burgers, that's usually where we went. And I mean, at the end of the day, at least there's meat in there, but you got a bun and lettuce and tomato and dressing or whatever they call it, spread on there. So yeah, so that kind of set the pace for us, right? It's like you said, it's a wonder we made it through the day, much less the decades eating like that. Because when we look back and we realize, how grain-based food isn't good for us, vegetables aren't good for us, fruit for the most part doesn't seem good for us. In moderation, they might be all right, but they made up the bulk of our diet, right? And I think it set a pace. And like you said, the egg thing, I remember that. I think it was on the cover of Time magazine. Eggs are out, they're bad for you. And then a number of years later, oh, eggs are back in, right? And the food pyramid came out. I'm sure that was floating around school. We saw it on milk cartons and posters and probably cartoons and
Get
stuff like
5 to 7 servings of grain a day.
that, right? I
And
don't
then they
think
bumped
any
it up to like 5 to 10 servings of grain, I think, later. Like, what? That was our problem. We weren't getting enough grain. Have you seen our breakfast?
Yeah, I want to say I saw a TV commercial with a famous athlete, and he's like, Oh, make sure you eat your 12 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. This is like, what? 12 servings? Good grief. That's like all day long, just going from one to the other.
How could you leave the toilet having 12
I don't
servings of
know.
fruits and vegetables a day?
I don't
I
know.
did once sit in the entire day. I ate like an entire like 2.5 pound bag of grapes in a day. That's all I ate that day. And the next day, I was on the toilet the whole day. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's another reason not to eat grapes, or at least not the whole box. It's better off making wine out of it, anyways.
Yeah, what the heck was sorry? What the heck was wrong with my mom? Now looking like what was okay for me to sit there and eat? I guess they think of it as not a bag of cookies or a bag of chips. I guess I'm sure the thought was I was being healthy by just sitting there and eating an entire bag of grapes,
Right?
or like an entire bag of carrots. Like I did that too.
Well, they might have been taking bets behind your back. They're like, oh, no, he's going to throw up. Nope, he's going to spend all day on the toilet tomorrow. No, he'll throw up first.
Well, I mean, I had a mom that hated cooking and was not a good cook. She knows this, so if she ever watches this, she's not going to get offended. And which is good that she's carnivore now because all she has to do is cook hamburger patties. And that's easy. You can do that. She can cook hamburger patties. Anything else, she can't do. She really can't.
Gotcha.
And so we ate out a lot, so that means like a lot of pizzas, when I would go to my mom's house on Friday nights when she'd come pick me up, it was pizzas, for the
Mm,
weekend, and I'd get pineapple and mushroom, a little bit of pepperoni. It's never a big sausage person. I never liked sausage on pizza. Just don't like the taste. Um,
what's wrong with you?
and, and yeah, Canadian bacon was good, or ham. But yeah, a lot of pizzas, a lot of burgers, a lot of lean cuisine, or not lean cuisine, the kid cuisine with the little chocolate brownie and the chicken tenders or whatever that's breaded, and the corn that's like the vegetable, right? Is corn, which
Right.
way later you learn that corn isn't even a vegetable. It's a grain.
It's a grain. You're basically a bunch of empty calories too. I mean, if you don't process corn, if you do process it with an alkaline, you can actually get some of the nutrients out of it. If you're just eating corn, you're getting very little out of it as far as nutrients go, other than the sugar, right?
So that was the primary vegetable that I had as a kid. I didn't like salads, I didn't like any of that naturally as most kids do, but corn's sweet, right? Or
Yeah,
there's even cream corn, which
sure.
like
Which is got more sugar added to it, right?
and
Yeah,
I
no.
love my cream corn or, yeah, of course.
No, I'm sure my mom thought she was doing us a favor by serving us corn, corn on the cob, canned corn, whatever. It's good for you. It's a vegetable, blah, blah, blah. They believed it. They suffered from bad information like we all have, right? Leading us to
Yeah.
believe this. I found a picture too. I don't know if you saw it. I scrolled it away. It shows the original form of corn. So and it's
Mm.
just like this, it looks like a green piece of wheat, right? And it's got some pretty good sized kernels on it. But when you realize that's what nature created and it wasn't really good enough to eat, so we turned it into what it is today. So I think people don't realize that all those fruits and vegetables in that grocery store over in the produce section is all basically invented by man. God did not put it on this earth. Mother Nature did not come up with it. We monkeyed with it until it was edible. And they don't tell you about all the anti-nutrients in it and all the problems that fiber can cause. It's like fiber is like this great medicinal substance that we need to just fill ourselves with. And of course, you and I've come to the opposite conclusion, right? The stuff just is not healthy for us, right? There's too big of a downside to all of it, right? And it's very hard to get the nutrients out of these plants and absorb them in our bodies. So
And then as a teenager, I thought I had really matured because I started eating the Marie Callender's TV dinners
oh
that
yeah,
had
that's top notch.
that had the herb roasted chicken, the broccoli and carrots, which I thought I was eating healthy because I was like, oh, it's herb roasted chicken, it's broccoli, carrots, and mashed potatoes. Like that's cream of the crop healthy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And of course, all the chemicals, there's a million things wrong with that meal.
Yeah, we
But
ate a lot of baked potatoes, when I was growing up too. Another source of just mostly empty calories.
well, if you talk to a medical medium, though, it's all about the potato.
Right. Yeah, and that reminds me of I said Marie Callender. So those Marie Callender's turkey pot pies.
Oh, they're
It's a
bomb.
little bit of meat with some peas and carrots and potatoes, and it's just swimming in a soup of cornstarch, with crust, right?
Well, when I was gluten free, I lived off gluten free pot pies. I think what they were called bakers or something like that. But
Oh
yeah, they
yeah.
were like $7 like a pot pie or whatever, like
Oof.
$5 to $7. And I'd eat at least like 3 to 7 of those a week. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And they'd fill me up. They were good. But of course, like you said, it's all the cornstarch, the gluten, all that, or not the gluten, obviously, but just all the carbs and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
even, slowly becoming an adult and then, moving out of childhood into adulthood, I thought salads were good. So then it was all about, chowing down on as many greens and eating the rainbow as I can. But it's a whole nother story. But yeah, how did we no, when I look back at things like that, I'm like, oh, no wonder I have all the different health problems. Like I almost nearly couldn't have eaten worse. And
Right.
what's worse on top of that is that food has actually gotten worse since then. You know what I mean? And there's
Right.
stuff, tons of talkies, eating junk food is like I feel like eating junk food isn't even socially discouraged anymore. Like I feel like at least when I was growing up, junk food was a treat, or you go and get a donut on a Saturday for the weekend or a Sunday. Um, but you go into the average Starbucks and you see the kids getting the frappuccino with their mom, or the mom and the kids are getting the frappuccino with a cake pop, or a croissant or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I went through. You mentioned salads. I went through a salad phase too. It's like making all these elaborate salads with garbanzo beans and sprouts and three different kinds of lettuce, tomato. And I might put some grilled chicken in there or something, and then some kind of dressing, which is always made out of some sort of vegetable oil or seed oil. I would think are doing it right, and I took that stuff seriously and made that pack my lunches. I used to pack lunches for my ex-wife and everything. She would take my salads to work and sell them to her coworkers, and then she'd go get a burger. So she might have been a little bit ahead of me on that one, but everybody slips once in a while. So yeah, so all that stuff made sense at the time, right? Because we had so much
Absolutely.
bad information. Our parents had bad information. Our parents' generation might even suffered the worst from it because they don't really have the opportunity we have now. I mean, your dad's gone, my mom's gone, my dad's still holding on, but he's like, I have a hard time explaining this to him in a way that makes sense that he can really retain, because it's so alien, because he's so full of the bad information. It's hard for him to grasp the idea that no, really, you should just eat meat because you're going to feel better. Because this is probably from that. That's probably from that. I think he's working on his type 3 diabetes right about now. So that when you start forgetting stuff, it's hard to hold on to these things. I'll give him a book and he'll read it sometimes, and then it's like a month later he's still doing the same old thing. So. And I was the one to introduce him to quinoa, and he's still eating that, or quinoa. I think it should be called quinoa. Quinoa doesn't make sense. But I was back in the brown rice days. I was all about that. That was the salad days too. And now I can't. I can't remember the last time I had a salad. I haven't had a salad in years, and I'm proud to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not had a salad. I've lettuce wrap burgers. But now I'm like, I leave just enough lettuce on it so that don't just so I'm not just directly touching the burger to my hand. That's
Sure.
basically that's all the lettuce I eat, and I'm pretty lucky in that with my mom, because my mom's forever quest is either losing weight or losing weight. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
she'd get up and do aerobics for 2 hours a day, every day, you know, to this day. And she's a 70-year-old woman. And I just remember that. And, you know, forever the weight, she couldn't keep weight off, even though she would eat, you know, chicken and salad and not, you know, my mom's, you know, not really a sweet tooth or anything either, you know, but now carnivore within their first 3 months, she lost 20 pounds, you know, and
Wow.
that astounded her. And I think that's the thing that kept her with it, you know, is that like, my pants, you know, she had to go buy all new clothes and all that stuff because nothing fit, new pants, new, you know, everything. And all that quest, all those salads, you know what I mean? And she was totally in the wrong
So what
direction.
you're
And
saying is she's stuck with carnivore because she likes to go shopping.
yeah, there you go. And you know, I feel like it's a big point to make that, you know, if me and Tom, we're here because we did try everything else. We really did, I think, you know, at least anything
Well,
that
I
was
never tried
available
the
in our,
baby food diet. Uh,
or the banana diet, you know.
I did not
Uh,
try the crazy freely diet either. Now
but for the most part, we ate our vegetables. No one can say that we didn't, you know.
that's right. Well, and you know, back when I started this, I used to tell the story all the time. I used to eat an at least one apple and one banana every day. Sometimes other, you know, oranges and cherries and you know, stuff like that. And I started noticing because I a lot of times when I'm commuting to work in the morning, I'd eat an apple in the car, and I noticed my joint pain was intensely worse when I got to work. You know, and so one day I was like, well, maybe I'm allergic to apples. I didn't eat the apple, and sure enough, my joints didn't hurt worse after I skipped the apple. It's like, huh? I thought an apple a day kept the doctor away, right? So we have all these silly ideas and sayings and stuff, you know, false mantras, whatever you want to call them, in our minds like that, and then you come to find out you're much healthier without them. And the apples we eat are nothing like the ones that Mother Nature came up with, anyways. So even if you think Mother Nature provides, she didn't provide Macintosh or Granny Smiths or Golden Delicious or Fuji's or any of those other things, much less a Chiquita banana, you know, or kale. You know, all that stuff is man-made, and all that stuff is the stuff they keep selling us and telling us how good it is for us, and they never tell us how bad it is for us. So we're here to sort of be the counter to all that, to sort of open up the can of dogma and show it for what it really is. So anyways, thanks for watching our short rib. We hope you enjoyed it. I should probably introduce myself once in a while. I'm Tom. This,
I'm
I don't know,
Justin.
I'm not sure which side he's on your screen, but that's Justin. And we thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed it. Leave us your comments. Let us know how your eating was when you were a kid, and leave us some questions or requests for other videos. Make sure you subscribe. Maybe pass the links on to the video to somebody else who will enjoy it. And until next time, eat some meat, and whatever you do,
Feel better and don't fall down the carb hole.